This book was authored by the spiritual leader His Holiness Sheihul Mufliheen M.S.M. Abdullah, Rahmatullah, in Tamil in the year 1980, and due to requests from the English readers this book was translated to English by the Religious Society. 10 years after the publication of this book in Tamil, Ceylon Jammiathul Ulama, a group of theologians, issued a religious edict, Fatwa, against the author, castigating him as Murthath, one who has deviated from the Islamic path. To establish the truth, a legal battle was initiated by the author in the year 1990 in the District Court of Colombo, and after a long hearing the theologians, realizing their vain attempt, came to a settlement in the courts and withdrew the fatwa in the year 1996. The spiritual leader along with his disciples had to encounter baseless criticism, senseless violence and persecution for many years. However, various acts by them to quash the truth were successfully thwarted by him till his demise in the year 2006. This book clearly reveals for the first time in the history of Islam the true meaning of the fundamental principle in Islam, the Kalimathu Thayyibah la ilaha illallah, there is nothing, creation, but Allah, based on the Holy Quran and Hadith for humanity to attain eternal peace and tranquility. Please be noted, for further clarifications please refer the original version of the book in Tamil or contact our head office. Our official website, Thareekathul The ever-living, non-destructive, supporting the biodegradable beings and all matter of the whole universe, unseen to the perplexed humanity, apparent to the non-perplexed Exalted One. All praise and grace belong to you, the omnipotent Allah. Further, in the name of Al-Harathami Muhammad Mustafa Rasul, Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, his kinsmen and companions who followed him, let there be peace, tranquility and salams.
Continue Section 8. Majority of the religious books and all our teachers have instilled into us that it is wrong and a sin to indulge in evil practices, and doing so goes against the religion. How could we escape from the tentacles of evil? This one question that remains unanswered. Some have given certain strategies to overcome, but it seems to have not succeeded in many who followed it. Many give a strategy like suppressing or controlling our desires. This seems easy by word of mouth but not practice. Gaining success by this strategy is near impossible. This is because we as human beings have become slaves to our senses from our younger days. When we tend to estimate that another object or matter is more beautiful, efficient, and sweeter than what we possess, knowing fully well it does not belong to us, still striving to grab, is not surprising. This is what has been ordained by Allah in all human minds, and hence remains a natural tendency. The thirst of the mind, if it is to be completely and compulsorily suppressed, then it could only be achieved by the method of punishment that puts fear into the minds of the subject, or by compulsorily directing the mind of the subject towards another alternate goody. This methodology only succeeds in suppressing the mindset of the subject, but cannot proclaim victory. It is also an indisputable fact that suppression of this nature completely disintegrates when the occasion comes up. While thirsting for heavenly bliss, it is difficult to suppress smaller likes, but the knowledge would not accept this. But practicing these types of methods would bring expected positive results in the case of common man, but would not quench the thirst of a person who is intent on gaining God's grace and union with Him. Hence, this aspect has to be analyzed and researched. This is because, if we do not find the strategies employed by the true servants in their success, we cannot follow them and emerge victorious in our quest for peace and tranquility. Section 9. Daily prayer is a pillar of Islam. One who does not perform the daily prayer is considered a kafir or has become a kafir, hence it is prayer that distinguishes a Moomeen from a Mushrikeen. It is a ritual that must be performed regardless of any other situation. Thus prayer is a compulsory ritual of a Moomeen and has to be strictly followed and performed, and if done so will cure all evils. This is the advice given by our teachers and respected dignitaries of the Islamic society, and they even compel us to follow the same. Further, they admonish that it is haram to hear the speeches of the one who does not pray. Few other men of knowledge also express that to listen to one who does not perform sujood is wrong, and that there is no prayer without sujood. They are not aware that the doors of spiritualism will never open to one who does not perform sujood to Allah and to those who do not indulge themselves in true ibadah. These supposed men of knowledge, who insist on the performance of the rituals, do not possess the eyes to see the amals performed by the ritual-free personages. The actions and commands of these personages are only a fraudulent external act to mislead the world and themselves, who fail to understand as to under what regulations or law that allows them to give ear to the government servants who do not perform sujood. I fail to find any evidence to support their compulsory expostulations. I feel ashamed to see them acting as pseudo-religious dignitaries with such stubborn disposition. It is opportune to remember that for every man of knowledge, Allah has said there is one above such man. Recite is the very first word Allah uttered to that humanity is one fact that must be made known to these supposed to be men of knowledge. The Quran and the Hadith has no supporting evidence for such distortions, deceptions and transformations of ideas expostulated by these pseudo-religious personalities. Such delusory speeches would only be likened to leading the innocent folks to the jaws of destruction. 6, verse 123, Thus have we placed leaders in every town, its wicked men to plot and burrow therein, but they only plot against their own souls and they perceive it not. Mischief is worse than murder, says the Quran. Hafiz, knowledge is a thing that has been missed by man of Iman. Hence if he obtains it from anywhere it belongs to him alone. Reported by Abu Hurairah Rahmatullah Authority, Tirmidhi. Some intellectuals expostulate Quran and Hafiz on their platforms, compatible to their own discordant knowledge, wamu, and in support of their own aims and objectives. If some knowledgeable person points to the discrepancies or flaw in their expositions with supporting evidences from the Quran and Hafiz, they reject it as false, and as the explanation of the wayward adhering to them haram. Further, these pseudo-religionists claim that they are the son of Jammiathul and they alone are the chosen ones to reach heaven. By such actions they deceive the innocents. If some person to clear his doubts queries, he is proclaimed a fraud and kufr is recited to him. I fail to understand as to what these groups think of the kalima, kufr, and shirk. I could only state that every human being armed with the common sense should know to whom, and for what and at what times to be made aware of any matter of interest. Hafiz, the one who teaches knowledge, the one who hears it, the one who lends his ears to it, and the one who pleasantly comprehends it are the four groups who will reap its harvest for their labors, and that querying or questioning are the key to the chest of knowledge. Hence, do interrogate and gain knowledge. This is what Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam had stated. But the people who had come forward to guide us in knowledge and performance of amals, not entertaining even acceptable interrogation, is unfathomable. They classify such acts as atheism. Yes, Ingersoll saying that atheism does not reside in the caves occupied by foxes seems true. We must understand the fact that one who strives and assists a person for his benefit, personal, is either a fool who causes harm to him, or highly placed man of knowledge. we should also know that the difficulties affecting the people brought about by the knowledgeable as the Creator's grace or mercy, Rahmath, and that what was wrought by a fool is the Creator's punishment. There are many conflicting religious discourses, with good intentions and evil aims, that have been included among our community. Do not think that I find fault with others with evil aims. I am finding fault with others only to clear your doubts and explain the truth regarding matters ignorant to you and about the ideas that you know of but find it difficult to accept. Further, this matter of fault-finding is an accepted methodology. Accepting the honored Ulamas gifted with clear research and strength of the mind, many knowledgeable personages act like the blind men trying to identify an elephant, as regards matters concerning Tawhid, Iman. The blind man touching the ear of the elephant likens the animal to be like a winnowing pan, little realizing he has touched only a part of the elephant. This is because he had lost his sight that would have helped him to recognize the elephant as a whole animal, and hence unable to picture the shape of a true elephant in his mind. In a similar vein, the blind man who felt the leg of the elephant would say it is like a rice pounder, the one who felt the tail would say that it is like a broom or duster. Another blind man on hearing all these comes to imagine it to be like a house. Still another man hearing the description of the elephant by the blind extols the elephant, depending on the place and environment. He writes many books on it. Still another who actually viewed the elephant remains silent. This he does so for he feels it is not his duty to give the details of the elephant to the blind men, and he is of the opinion that the blind men would not believe him. But certain others who view the elephant with their own eyes, get to know it and become familiar with it. They also are of the opinion that it is their bounden duty to tell the blind men the actual fact. They employ some principles that would assist them to make the blind men understand and with God's grace accomplish their task to explain the authentic appearance of the elephant. They thus perform their duty. Such persons are just a few. The elephant we refer to is compared to Iman or truthful Tawhid. Those who write books and kitabs and the orators who base themselves on inferences are like the men having eyes, yet have not observed the elephant. These people who follow the writer and orators do dutifully engage themselves in prayers and other ibadah. The Alhamd you saw or Ahald as Quran is recited over 17 times in a day. Many of those in practice would have been performing prayers for over 50 or 60 years. Many of them during prayers beseech Allah to show them the path of those who obtain graciousness from Allah. Has this prayer been accepted or rejected? We do not even think over this aspect. This is because we assume the straight path to mean Siratul Mustaqim, which is in our Akhirah and thus exist in illusion. We do not think that in this dunya too, there exists a path like Sirat, and those who cross this in this world are the ones who will cross it in the Akhirah, has not been announced to us. Hence we do not worry over it, nor think of it. These people who think many times over even a cent worth of matter in the dunya, fail to do so in the case of the deen. Those of us who for many years besought Allah to lead us in the straight path, utter blatant lies for an income of 5 rupees. If we become aware that another person has more than 5 rupees, jealousy takes us over. If he has less money than us, we degrade him. What is the state of worship we have been practicing for numerous years? What of the prayer of which this worship was a part? For 50 or 60 years having besought the straight path, then opposes the Quran, and believing in the path shown by the foolhardy people as the straight path. Hence, what is the path he sought from Allah by worship? For what? Think this over, as explanation would be expansive. Surah 31, verse 21. When they are told to follow the revelation that God has sent down, Quran, they say, nay, we shall follow the ways that we found our fathers following. What? Even if it is Satan beckoning them to the penalty of the blazing fire. Surah 2, verse 171. The parable of those who reject faith, Quran, and follow their ancestors is as if the herd, without understanding, follow only the shouts and noise. They are deaf and blind and void of wisdom. Surah 2, verse 79. Then woe to those who write the book, Kitab, with their own hands, and then say this is from God, to traffic with it for a miserable price. Woe to them for what their hands do write, and for the gain they make thereby. Surah 17, verse 36. And pursue not that of which thou hast no knowledge, for every act of hearing or of seeing or of feeling in the heart will be inquired into on the day of reckoning. Section 10. We have wrongly gauged ourselves, thus leading to illusion and haughtiness. We are deceiving ourselves by calling us true believers. To ponder over whether we are actually following the religion of Islam that was accepted by our father Ibrahim, who believed in a dream, saw it fit to accomplish it by getting ready to sacrifice his own son. If we wanted to know the truth, and to follow those who sacrificed their own life to inculcate this truth, should not we turn the pages and analyze the contents contained in our Imam the Holy Quran? We are ignorant of the fact that the scale Mizan is within us. The bridge of Siratul Mustaqim is the path shown by Clemmer's details in Dunya, and crossing it to mean getting stabilized in the principle of Tawheed. Surah 57, verse 25/a broken bar and sent down with them the book and the balance, right and wrong, that men may stand forth in justice. A broken bar. Beloved brother, do not believe that I find happiness in cursing others. May Allah protect us from such disgraceful acts. We cannot find truth without knowing what is false. We at first only try to get what is true. But the eyes that see what is true is blurred or blinded in many, and to a certain extent have the ability to distinguish and identify falsity. This I am aware with the grace of Almighty Allah. It is because of this that I decided to take a few easily recognizable falsities. Unless we identify the wrongs and infer the reasons behind it being false, we will not be in a position to identify and imbibe the truth within us. The birthplace of these wrongs is Islam's basic principle. Is it the theory of one God? The principle of the oneness of the essence? Theory of deities? Being ignorant of these, and the sheer ignorance of oneness, so the correct interpretation of Tawhid is the root cause of this. Many of us do not obtain timeful benefits of amals we perform due to us following blindly without understanding the truth and kalima, and thus not accepting its meaning. Details and evidences of this would be given later. If a person correctly understands the truth, meaning and details of the kalima and comprehends the spiritual truth of Tawhid, he will surely change himself into a true servant. Further, all his amals reaping its full benefits is an undisputable fact. Hence, any man who wishes to attain complete tranquility must necessarily understand fully the meaning of kalima and get himself stabilized in the correct interpretation of Tawhid. Only on getting a clear meaning and the truth of the Tawhid does one understand the actual truth behind the creations. The very instant one comprehends the truth of the creations, he begins to understand man's craving and foolishness, and all these would get ridden off him without himself being aware of the same. To suppress these cravings, use of force will not be necessary for one with common sense. These explanations are long, and this would suffice. The rest of the explanation would be provided in the chapter on what is Islam's objective. Let us therefore analyze some aspects of kalima within the purview of our comprehensive power and acceptable knowledge. Section 11. All are unanimous in that a Moomeen is one who understands and accepts wholeheartedly the Tawhid kalima. Its summary has been given before. There are 4 Arabic words in kalima. Muhammadur Rasulullah is a connective sentence to the kalima. We will deal with this aspect later. If we translate the 4 words of the kalima in situ, it would be in the reverse: Allahu accept Allah none. It would mean they accept Allah no Allah, or to make it comprehensible, there is no Allah except Allah. The word Allah is commonly used to mean all deities, idols, and even Allah in Arabic. This is the meaning carried in many places in the Quran and Hadith. All Ulamas and intellectuals agree in that the word Allah referred to by Allah means the worshipped idols. Yet some with discordant mind and in want of knowledge do have apprehension wamu, hence there are conflicts regarding this aspect. These sections of people are of the view that the word Allah referred to by the Creator means the Creator himself, who is fit to be worshipped or a one to be worshipped, are sentences that are not found in the Arabic version of kalima. This aspect has to be explained in greater detail, and hence would be taken up and dealt with at the appropriate time. Give ear to my expostulations in order to discover a truth for you to comprehend. If we point to what the true Ulamas, awliyas, say, it means except Allah there are no idols, nothing. In the opinion of the people short of knowledge and in wamu, kalima would mean, except Allah there is no Allah. The word a to be worshipped is a forced interpolation into the kalima by some miscreant. We will explain this at a later instance. Many of our people refuse to believe the meaning of kalima enunciated by Ulamas, researchers and awliyas that says, except Allah there are no idols or creation that had to be worshipped. This is because the kalima signifies Allahs that are creations to be worshipped are Allah and none other. All Allahs are Allah, there is none but Allah. If Allah is taken as a common name, then it would mean that animals like dogs, pigs, feces too become Allahs. This creates a disturbance in our knowledge. This is because our mother, father, social dignitaries, many of the Moulvis books and kitabs have all stated that the meaning of kalima is directly opposed to the contention that except Allah there is none. This aspect is clearly emphasized. Further, if the creation that is an idol, then why should the Creator prohibit the worship of idols? Queries our knowledge. As there is no answer to this query, the meaning adduced by the intellects remains unacceptable. In addition, accepting the Allahs that are creations of Allah amounts to shirk, kufr, and a great sin is taught by our ancestors. Hence, our knowledge refuses to accept, and it is not a surprise. According to the usage of Arabic language norms, the contention of the Ulamas and intellectuals seems erroneous. Thus majority of the people form an opinion that vilifies it as Murthath and a great sin as regards the meaning enunciated by the Ulamas, awliyas and intellectuals. We, our forefathers and our ancestors, are fully imbibed in the belief that Allah is separate from the creations. This opinion was held by our forefathers, written so, in many kitabs by religious dignitaries, and hence they believed in it. There are thousands of kitabs that support this viewpoint. Our knowledge is not disturbed by the contention that the kalima's meaning is the Lord to be worshipped is none except Allah. This allied within the one God theory or monotheism seems compatible and acceptable to our own minds. Two truths emerge when kalima is to mean a Lord to be worshipped is none other except Allah. The one fit to be worshipped is Allah is one truth. The other is that none of the creations are fit to be worshipped. This is openly expressed by the sentence pattern, I Why should we reject the creation from being worshipped? This is because the creations are not Allah, and both entities are separate and different. Hence, by the type of meanings, Thareekathul, too, we clearly understand that the creations and Allah are separate and different from each other. The short description should be understood and comprehended clearly for us to discover the authentic truth. Hence, those in want of knowledge should read this once more. Summary 01. The Walis who are Ulamas have given the meaning of kalima as per the principle of external sound Ifaradhanas and as per the principle of meaning Thareekathul that whatever there is, whether good or evil, are not separate from Allah, or He is, ham or ust, or without Allah there is none. This is called the principle of union of all, Allah is one, or unity of all, oneness of being. 02. Many of the Moulvis of the present vintage seems not to accept this explanation of kalima that was rendered by the Walis. 03. This explanation has been opposed from the time of Adam, alayhis salam. 04. Highly placed social dignitaries, some Ulamas or Moulvis and many kitabs give kalima to mean, as per Ifaradhanas and Thareekathul, that Allah is separate and different from other creations. To be more precise, Abth is different from Rub and none of the creations are Allah. This is the principle of one God, monotheism. 05. The above explanations have been opposed by some from time to time and have also written books on it. Many of them have been the target of opposition by the populace. Let us now delve into the one God theory taught to us by our parents and Ulamas. These people are of the view that deity is separate and different from creations. If this is so, if the creations are not of Allah, then these creations would have been produced by one who is not Allah and from raw materials that were produced by one who is not Allah. That is to say, our Creator in creating His creations would have obtained the raw materials like air, water, and soil by borrowing, buying or on loan from someone and somewhere who had produced it. Then there would exist a place and time that has no Allah. If so, a place and time and raw materials exist without Allah. There would be one or many Allahs who would have produced raw materials. Hence, this theory is a blind one. If this is not so, the Creator would have produced His creations from the raw materials He Himself has produced. That is to say, if there is no time or place or raw materials except Allah is true, then the Creator would have created or produced the creations from Himself. Hence, whatever, whether good or evil, cannot be different from or separate from Allah. Thus it would mean that there cannot be a separation of Abd from Rub or from Allah or Allah from His creation. Thus the theory of separation of Allah from His creation would be erroneous. Summary 01. If the Creator is separate from His creations, then the creations would have been produced in a place that has no connection with the Creator by another entity, or the Creator would have created from raw materials produced by another entity that has no connection with the Creator. This would mean, there exists other entities other than the Creator. This would oppose the theory of one God. Person voicing the existence of one God or deity would without his knowledge accept the existence of two or more deities. This opposes the theory of one God. Hence, it is a wrong explanation. 02. If the Creator is one, and all creations are from Him, the separation of the two, Creator and creations, would not hold any water. If the creations emerged from Him is factual, then we cannot say the creations possess power, other than the absolute divine power. There is only one universal theory of union of all or oneness of being. We cannot say Abd is different from Rub, or that the deity is separate from the creations or the existence of one God. The theory of union or unity of all in one, or the oneness of essence, is the authentic one. the view held by the Ulamas becomes the authentic and truthful interpretation. But the truth has to be carefully and patiently studied and understood clearly. Inshallah, we will get to know the same later. One truth emerges from our short explanation. That is the principle of universal God, or one God is not the principle of Islam. This is a principle that has been interpolated into Islam and is evil in character. This one God theory opposes the Quran and the Hadith fully. Our common sense bears witness to this. So does the many references of support for it. Hence the kalima we recite, "Are the Lord fit to be worshipped," is none other than Allah opposes the Quranic and Hadith concept of the kalima, and only goes to confirm the view held by the Mushrikeens. Many of us are unaware of this aspect. Assalamu alaikum, peace to you. About Thareekathul Mufliheen founder. Sheihul Mufliheen, Sultan al-Arifin M.S.M. Abdullah, Rahmatullah, hails from Napatimuni, a village in the eastern province of Sri Lanka. He was born on 25th of July, 1925 to an affluent and respectable family in his village, and was popularly known as Pailwan in Tamil, meaning a wrestler in English. His father, Sinatambi Hajia, was a landed proprietor, and his mother, Mariam Bibi, was a devoted wife to her husband and an affectionate and caring mother to her children. His parents spent a great deal of their time in social and religious activities. After a few years he moved to Murthath, an adjacent village, and settled down there until his demise. He departed from this world on 6th of December, 2006 after a brief illness. At the tender age of 10, he developed a great flair to seek the eternal truth of life. His desire to attain his vision persuaded him to indulge in extensive research on Quran, Hadith and a wide range of books. He was engaged in various vocations such as a wrestler, a teacher, and in other fields of art with total commitment towards his task. He succeeded in reaching the sublime state of enlightenment at 35 years. He devoted his whole life on the noble service of serving the humanity by propagating the true meaning of Kalimat Tayyib. La ilaha illallah, the basic mantra, slogan, to attain eternal peace and tranquility in this worldly life and hereafter. To substantiate his vision, he authored 9 books, including 181 spiritual songs written and composed by him, and books were translated to English for the benefit of the English native speakers. It is our firm belief that his life is eternal in the spiritual world, though his physical body that was buried at Ceylon Thareekathul Mufliheen head office and meditation center, Castigating, Sri Lanka, was exhumed and buried elsewhere by certain nefarious elements with extremist views, totally ignorant of his true doctrine. Thank you.